My name is Sarah, and I want to share a story that changed everything in my life. I grew up in what looked like a normal family from the outside, two parents and a younger sister named Jessica. But inside our home, things weren't peaceful. Jessica was always the center of attention. If she didn't get what she wanted, she'd scream, cry, and make life hard for everyone. My parents gave in to her just to keep the peace. Meanwhile, I stayed quiet. I was the good daughter, the one who caused no trouble. But that meant I was invisible. As we got older, nothing really changed. Jessica still demanded everything, and my parents still gave it to her. I just stayed out of the way, keeping to myself. I focused on school, got good grades, and dreamed of one thing: leaving. When I finally got accepted into college with a full scholarship, I felt like I could finally breathe. Leaving gave me guilt too. I was walking away from my parents, who were still dealing with Jessica. But I told myself I deserved this chance. On the day I left, Mom cried. Dad gave me a quiet pat on the shoulder, and Jessica didn't even say goodbye. College felt like freedom. For the first time, I didn't have to walk on eggshells. I could focus on myself and not worry about what Jessica would do next. I studied hard, stayed focused, and started building a future. Back home, Jessica stayed put. She married her high school boyfriend James, and guess what? They didn't get their own place. They moved in with our parents. Soon they had kids, and Jessica still didn't work. My parents were now babysitters, housekeepers, and cooks. Mom would call me sometimes, trying to sound cheerful, but I could hear how tired she was. While Jessica stayed in her comfort zone, I was working hard to build something of my own. I got a job at a global company, climbed the ladder, and saved money every step of the way. I didn't spend much. I rented a small apartment, bought a basic but reliable car, and stayed focused on building stability. Dating wasn't really a big part of my life until I met Michael. He was kind, honest, and smart. He didn't care about money or status. He cared about who I was. For the first time, I thought maybe my life could be more than just surviving. Michael and I were together for a few years before he proposed. I was nervous at first. I had built my life around control and safety, and marriage felt like a big risk. But Michael showed me that love didn't have to mean chaos. We planned a small, beautiful wedding. Everything was going smoothly until Jessica showed up wearing a white dress. It looked just like a wedding dress. "Don't you love it?" she asked, spinning in front of the mirror. I was shocked. I wanted to yell, but I didn't want drama. I told myself I wouldn't let her ruin my day. Despite the dress, the ceremony went beautifully. Michael held my hand and reminded me that this day was about us. The love we shared was stronger than Jessica's need for attention. After the wedding, we settled into a happy rhythm. Michael had a nice apartment, and I decided to rent out mine. Work was going well, and I even started learning about investing. One day, I had a thought. What if I bought a place where my parents could finally rest? A quiet home where they could be away from Jessica's noise. I knew they needed peace, even if they couldn't ask for it. We found the perfect place, a beautiful house near a lake. It was peaceful, big enough for them to relax, and far enough from the city to feel like a true escape. I bought it with my savings and surprised my parents with it. They were speechless. My mom cried when she saw the kitchen. My dad kept touching the walls like he couldn't believe it was real. But I made one request. "Don't tell Jessica I bought it." "Let's say you saved up and bought it yourselves," I said. They were unsure, but they agreed. I thought I had planned everything. I was wrong. Just a few days later, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was shaking. Jessica had found out about the house. She was furious and told our parents to sell it and give her the money instead. When they said no, She screamed that they loved me more and always had. I felt awful, but my mom said something that shocked me. "We're moving there full time," she said. "We need a break." I was glad they were finally standing up for themselves. Michael and I decided to visit them and bring some things over. But what we found at the villa shocked us. As we got closer, we heard loud music. Cars were parked on the grass. People were everywhere, drinking, yelling, kids running around. In the middle of it all was Jessica. "What are you doing here?" she said when she saw us. I asked where Mom and Dad were. "They went out," she shrugged. "It's a party." My heart sank. She had taken over their new home. I wanted to yell, but Michael pulled me away. "Let's not make a scene," he whispered. We left, but something in me changed that day. Jessica had crossed a line, and I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I later found out that Jessica had been throwing parties every weekend. Strangers came, and she even rented out the house for money. My parents were exhausted. "The kids are missing school," Mom said. "She leaves them here all the time." I had enough. I made an anonymous call to Child Protective Services. They looked into it quietly. Soon, the parties stopped. The kids went back to school. Jessica was furious when she found out. "You betrayed me," she said. I stayed silent. I had done the right thing. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Jessica would come back. Months passed, and things calmed down. For Mom's birthday, Michael and I planned a quiet surprise visit, but as we pulled up to the house, it was déjà vu. Loud music, drunk people, and kids running wild. I found my mom in the kitchen. She looked like she had been crying. "I just wanted a peaceful day," she said. I walked outside and saw Jessica laughing with a drink in her hand. I told her we needed to talk. "This is Mom's birthday," I said. She laughed and told me to lighten up. Then, she did something unbelievable. She told the kids to throw ice cream at me. Ice cream started flying. One scoop missed me and hit another guest in the face. People were yelling, pushing, shouting. It felt like the whole place was about to explode. Michael pulled me back. "We need to go," he said. But I wasn't leaving. I pulled out my phone and called the police. When they arrived, they asked who owned the property. "I do," I said. The officers removed the guests and warned them. The house was a mess again. Jessica looked shocked. "What do you mean you own this?" she yelled. I told her the truth. She looked like she had been slapped. Jessica went quiet, then smiled. "Okay, fine. Let's forget this. I have an idea," she said. She wanted me to sign the house over to her so she could build more houses and rent them out. "You've got money. Help your sister," she said. "Absolutely not," I replied. "This home is for Mom and Dad, not for your business ideas." Her smile disappeared. "You'll regret this," she hissed and walked out. I was shaken, but I stayed strong. That night, I had cameras installed all over the villa and added an alarm system. I knew Jessica wasn't done yet. 2 weeks later, I got a notification on my phone. Someone had entered the villa. I called Mom right away. "Are you at the house?" I asked. "No, we're at Jessica's. She needed help with the kids," she said. My stomach dropped. Michael and I rushed to the villa. What we found was heartbreaking. Furniture broken, walls ruined, things thrown everywhere. I showed the police the camera footage. It was clear. Jessica and James had done it. They were drunk, angry, and out of control. A few days later, Jessica called me and demanded I drop the charges. I said no. I filed a lawsuit. Jessica and James had to answer in court. The judge watched the footage and saw the damage. He ordered them to pay $10,000 in damages and gave them a suspended sentence. Jessica's husband lost his job. Jessica had to work for the first time in her life. I sent a legal notice banning her from the villa. My parents moved in full time and finally started to enjoy life. We love seeing the grandkids, but now it's on our terms, Dad said. They gave their old house to Jessica, but no more money. It was time she grew up. As for me, life was finally calm. Work was going well. Michael and I were happy. Then one evening, I had news. I'm pregnant, I told him, nervous and excited. He smiled and hugged me tight. We're having a little girl. As I write this, I'm 6 months along. I still think about Jessica sometimes. Last I heard, she and James were fighting and close to divorce. A part of me feels sorry for her, but a bigger part of me feels free. I spent my whole life fixing her messes. Now I've chosen peace, for myself and for my daughter.